Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I usually edit portraits, each portrait. So I'm going to start off with this one here and I'm going to show you how to get to this one here. Okay, so I'm just going to close that off and I'm going to take this, and the first thing that I see with this is she's got some patches under her eyes, a little bit of uneven skin, so I'm going to sort that out first. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the layer, and I'm going to take my patch tool here, and I'm going to go take the skin under her eyes and just going to bring it down. And the reason why I duplicated the layer is that I don't want them to look like that gone completely. I want to see a little bit of what she has and the patches under her eyes, otherwise she's just going to look too plastic. So I'm going to lower the opacity of that down to about, I suppose, about 50%. That should be fine. And then I'll flatten that. I'm also going to use the patch tool again to just circle around her little imperfections and move them just to a little bit of area of skin, just as close as I can beside it, that's an area of clean skin that's close as possible beside it. That all helps to keep it natural looking, and obviously I don't want to get rid of any of her little moles or beauty spots, so I don't want to remove any of those. And once she's got pretty good skin, so that's probably enough. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to red skin removal, and I'm going to run that action, and I'm going to take my brush at 100%, a white brush, and I'm going to paint over the bits that are a little bit red. So she's a little bit of redness in here, maybe a little bit under her eyes. So I just want to get rid of that redness there. Now, usually I would use this in newborn babies where they have sort of quite red skin in patches, but just sometimes it's a little bit on people's skin, especially if it's been quite hot in the studio. So that's done there, and then the next thing I'm going to run is my skin smoothing action. And there are lots of different ways of skin smoothing, but this is one if you don't want to have to spend a lot of money on portraiture or something like that. So I'm going to, with a white brush, I'm going to do it at 100%, and I'm going to lower the opacity then afterwards, depending on how smooth I make it. Now, taking great care not to go over her hair, not to go over any features like her eyes or her lips. I'm going to go over her skin at 100% opacity, and you can see it as you go along. You can see it smoothing out and down into her neck as well. So now that that's smoothed, it does look a little bit too plasticky and smooth, so I'm going to go to that layer and I'm going to bring it down. I can slide it up and down until it's how I'm happy with it, and I would say that that's quite nice at about 60% there, without losing too much detail. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to flatten that, and then I'm going to go to eye define, and with a white brush again, I'm going to just go over her irises and the hair around her eyes, maybe a little bit into her eyebrows, possibly a little bit on her lips if you want them to stand out, and maybe a little bit in this front bits of her hair. Just the little details that you want to bring out a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to flatten that, and then I'm going to go to teeth whiten. Now it may seem funny because you can't see her teeth, but this teeth whiten action is also good for the whites of people's eyes. So I'm going to run that with a white brush at 100%. I'm going to paint over the whites of her eyes. Now I should be very careful with this. Don't go over the irises. Now if you do go over the irises, you can just take the black and clean that back up again. Don't go over the hair on her eyes either. And with that layer, you can see if it's a little bit too much, just bring the opacity of that down. So there we have Her eyes are a little bit sharper, her skin's a little bit smoother. And another action that I like to run on indoor portraits is the warm haze action. And once I've run it, I'm just going to bring the opacity of it down. So it just gives it a little bit of warmth. And so there's the before and there's the after.